Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video we're going to take a look at one of the fastest teams possible currently for the Go Battle League and one of the strongest I've ever played. I went 16-4 with this team, but not only this, like in the battles that I did with this team, I definitely know that I lost 2 of them, one down to my own mistake and one down to Niantic and bugs, where I just didn't get a fast move through, which would have really helped me. But basically, this team was amazing. I would have went 18-2 minimum with this team if everything would have worked perfectly fine, which of course is not always going to be the case, but like it just shows how strong this team is. And this team is absolutely toxic, but also so good. You're going to have a team here with the lead of Wigglytuff, the most toxic Pokemon in Pokemon Go, I would say, just because like it just had like such a history of being the most toxic Pokemon. We're going to have our Sazorb, the Shadow Marowak, of course, Shadow Kanto Marowak, which you can currently still get as well from the Rocket Leader Cliff. So you can also currently, by the way, if you don't know, during the current event, you can still get rid of Frustration. At this point, you can still get rid of Frustration while you're watching the video, if you watch it kind of close to the release date. You can still get rid of Frustration, and this is going to allow you to get also this Pokemon here, which is of course the Golurk. And this entire team, by the way, destroys Morpeko, so if you are annoyed by Morpeko, this team is going to be yours. And honestly, like this team was absolutely crazy. And yes, there's going to be Pokemon that are a bit tricky, like for example the Azumarill. Usually you would run a team like this with Garrison in the back, might need to counter like those water type Pokemon a little bit easier to not have like a double water weakness. But we don't do that. Why? Because I actually tried Gaston out for this team beforehand, and I didn't like it at all. To the point where I was like, why is this Pokemon even on this team? This Pokemon doesn't do anything for me. And so I decided to change it to Golurk, and honestly, Golurk was the game changer. Golurk was such a big upgrade for this team over Gastrodon, which I didn't really expect, because who is playing Golurk nowadays anymore? Like, I don't see anyone playing Golurk anymore. And so, yeah, I was super happy with this team. I would really recommend you to give it a try. Here, by the way, I think the opponent plays it really well. We're going to be able to go for a Shadow Punch. They're going to let the move go through. We can not get to another move there. It's a bit annoying. We are sadly, I think, going to lose this one just barely, because look at them. They're going to be able to just do a little bit too much damage with the Poison Sting and Awkward Tail. This is, by the way, the only Pokemon where I feel like Poison Sting buff was a mistake is Drapion. Like, the rest would have been totally fine. I feel like Drapion is a bit too strong. But for example, here, we just barely lose this battle. But like, it's one of the only losses that we had with this team. And like, literally, one turn extra, we would have had a draw there. Next opponent, great lead for us. So we're going to have a Dragonair, and they're going to swap out into the Dunsparce. I think this was actually a mistake by me swapping out into the Golurk. We have Dynamic Punch here, but still, like, Shadow Punch is not going to do anything, and they have to kind of risk a lot of energy here in order to get the KO, which we can get. Hopefully, yes, we can get. So the opponent is going to no-shield this one. And let's see what's coming in next. It is going to be the Dragonair again, which is gonna get aligned against the Wigglytuff, which we're now going to have the Toxapex against us, and this is a very fast and easy battle, and this is for basically most of the battles the case. So this team is absolutely amazing. Like, we have around, I think, like, I don't know, 16-17 battles here today in this video, and we have like a total time of like 19 minutes. So you see already on how fast this team is. Well, like, this was actually the main idea behind this team. I wanted to build a team that's very fast, because we currently have 20 sets to do, and this team definitely helps you out with getting those sets done. But I also wanted to build a team that's also still functions like a good toxic team, and this is something that I have to say is very difficult nowadays. I feel like toxic teams are kind of nearly gone. There is a lot of like kind of semi-toxic teams with like a lot of fast move pressure, but like this is like the most toxic one that I can come up with, and it's not even close to the good old days of Razor Leaf Tropius and Razor Leaf Victreebel together with a Bastiodon. Like, those days are completely over. Like, you have not really those super heavy fast move Pokemon, because, well, yes, Mudslap is going to do a ton of damage, and Charm is going to do a ton of damage as well. Charm mainly like kind of what we had back in the day. It is just not the same to like Razor Leaf and Bastiodon with Smackdown. I feel like it just completely is a different vibe for this team. It still feels like more like a normal team, even though it is a toxic team, because you still have a lot of play with like charge moves. You have cheap charge moves with a bonk. Like, you have literally 3 Pokemon here that have charge moves that need 35 energy. Like, it's literally the cheapest one that you can get, basically, with Swift, Bone Club, as well as Shadow Punch. So it still feels like a normal team here, because they're still going to rely on charge move and not just fast move pressure, which I feel like is an interesting twist. Like, I feel like it's definitely, I don't know if you like the change a bit more. I actually feel like there was a bit of charm to those toxic teams. I feel like there was a bit of charm to it. I feel like it was just part of the Go Battle League to encounter your odd, Bershidan, Medicham, Victory Bell team. But here, sadly, we're gonna lose again as well. Kinda got walled, but it's okay. We can move on to the next opponent. I don't know, like, let me know how you feel. This is, by the way, an interesting team from the opponent, because I actually know this team, and I kind of wanted to try this team out myself, and maybe I'm still going to try this team out myself. It's very likely a Ferrothorn in the back. Ferrothorn is a hard wall for this team. It's basically impossible to win against Ferrothorn. But also against Azumarill, here's the thing for the Azumarill. The Elite is your best kind of answer, but it's also not that great. What you kind of want to rely on is you try to get as much energy as possible by farming down the Azumarill with the Marowak. You go a shield down here, but you're gonna have so much energy that you're gonna get the shield back anyway. And so we're gonna go for a Bone Club, a bit of a risky play if the opponent wants to let this move go through. That would be a bit awkward, but they use a shield, and so look at this. All of a sudden from Azumarill, which is very difficult for our backline, we were able to not only realign, we're also gonna knock them out, and as expected, there's going to be the Ferrothorn in the back. We're gonna be able to go for another charge move here, and if this gonna land, we get them into farmland range, and we get them there, and we're gonna swap out before the opponent can do anything, because here's the thing, if they would have farmed me all the way down, they would have had basically 2 power whips there. Now they only have a little bit of energy left from before, and so we can go for the full farmland with our Golurk, and this is going to be a good game. Just even though there's a grass type in the back against our, Mud Boys, and as you can see here, a 4-1, and trust me, they're going to be a few more victories here coming up. Honestly, there are going to be quite a lot of victories coming up here. I climbed up over 2,900 MMR with this team. I climbed up, I think, close to 200 points in 4 sets. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, this team is so overpowered. If I want to hit Legend with this team, I could definitely. I just need like 3-4 more sets and I would be there. Absolutely. I have literally no doubt about this team being able to get to Legend. Literally no doubt. Like, this is the thing as well. Like, there's some teams recently especially where I was like, okay, yeah, the team is good. Like, it performs still positive. Like, I usually go like them, or maybe 9 and 6 or something in like 3 sets total. But like, this team is completely destroying the meta. Like, it just feels like it's a cheat code. It literally just feels like a cheat code. As you'll see here, opponent against us is actually a team that I know as well. There's going to be a what's called Annihilate in the back. This is a Legend team. I think it seems like kind of something that Tonton would use, but I definitely know they have it in a video as well. And so I knew there was an Annihilate there, and it's going to be a bit of a tough matchup. What do I go into? My Ghost type or my Fairy type? Go into my Fairy type because I want to force them to go for that charge move, and at this point, I didn't get the charm through. I think maybe I should have got the charm through, but they go for the close combat, which allows us to farm them down and win the battle. Moving on. Oh, what do we do against Talonflame? We stop out. We stop out into the Golurk though. And this is still going to be a very tough matchup. Like, this is going to be a very, very tough one. We have the Shadow Punch coming through, getting the shield from the opponent. We can try to go for another move here. We're going to use no shield against them. And so we have no shield advantage. And shield advantage is needed, kinda, because the opponent has some energy already on the Talonflame. And my play here is to knock out the Talonflame. I need to kind of get energy on my Marowak. And so, you see me no shielding this one. It's all on Marowak. I don't really care too much about what the opponent does otherwise, and they're gonna give me an advantage. They swap out into the Drapion. And because I get the Swift off, they can only go for 1 charge move now, which is really good for me, because otherwise if I wanted to fully farm them down, I have to get hit by an Awkward Tail or use both of my shields, and I just don't really want that. And so I only used 1 shield. I still have some health left, which is important because I still have the Vine Abuser in the back. And I'm not even gonna risk it, because I know I should be fine here. Rock Slide coming through, getting the shield, I get a free fast move in. They need 2 more fast moves, so 3. I could go basically for 3 of my own fast moves to get to another move. And I overfarm by quite a bit, and I still get to another Bone Club, and I have a Rock Slide stored, and I'm well aware that they still need another fast move, and I just gotta go even for the safe play, going straight for the Rock Slide. I could go for a free fast move here as well, but I'm very certain a Rock Slide is going to one-shot them anyway, for sure, from this range, and we can move on to the next opponent. The longer I, by the way, played this team, the better it was as well for me. Like, I started off, I think, with a 3-2. I only went positive, by the way. I think I started 3-2, then 4-1, then 4-1, and then 5-0 at the end. So that's basically, the 16-4 that I had as well in the beginning. And this team was just so amazing. There were so many battles where I was just like, I didn't know really how we got back from them. But like, this team was just, I don't know, it's just such a cool team to run. It is very toxic, and I know people don't really like this fast move beatdown, but again, it's like not as, it doesn't feel as toxic as like the teams would have been back in the day. Here, by the way, take a risk. I decided to no-shield this one, and I don't know if this is going to be smart or not, but I was thinking that the opponent would have got to 2 fire punches before I would have been able to go for the full farm against them, so I don't think I would have been able to realign myself. I need to kind of have a realignment against the opponent's Drift Blim, but they're going to swap out now into the Bibarel, and we are now in a spot where we can go for a Swift. The opponent has a ton of energy, we still have a shield left. What do we shield? Do we shield an Ice Event? Do we shield a Surf? Do we shield a Hyper Fang? We shield here, because it's going to be the hardest hitting move. I know that they're still going to get to another one, but here's the benefit of having Wigglytuff over any other Charmer. It's the normal typing. There are quite a lot of Ghost type Pokemon currently around, and trust me, it helps to have a normal type. Here they decided to overfarm a lot because they know that I would have had a Rock Slide anyway, and so I decided to go for the Ice Event and knock them out and just move on to the next opponent. And you see here, the longer it goes on, the more we steamroll opponents. I feel like my editing software, by the way, has a tendency to put losses earlier than wins. I have like a lot of times where like all my wins are in the back and all of the losses are in the beginning. I have no idea. Like usually it's just randomized where the battles are. From what my understanding is, I don't know how they sort this, but yeah. Anyway, like we have a lot of wins now in a row already, and let's see how this next one is gonna go. And this, by the way, why this team is so cool as well. I can talk a little bit more about the idea behind here. I should have got the fast move through. I didn't. I get denied here, which is actually really impactful, which you're gonna see later as well. But here we can at least still go for the full farm down. But basically, the team idea is you have a lead that's going to be good against Dark-type Pokemon. We have a Sazop that's going to be able to destroy, a lot of the weaknesses of the lead. The weaknesses of the lead are what? Fire-type Pokemon resist Charm, Steel-type Pokemon resist Charm and is super effective against us, and Poison-type Pokemon resist Charm and is super effective against us. All is covered by Mud Slappers. But also our Sazop is going to be able to have coverage for Flying-type Pokemon because they want to avoid our lead as well, because a lot of times it is Mandibuzz or it is going to be Drift Blim. And we still have Rock Slide there, which is going to be great. And then we're going to take a look at our final Pokemon, which is going to be the Golurk. And what we see there is that Golurk is basically a Pokemon that's weak to Mandibuzz as well as the Drift Blim, and quite a bit of it, but has a lot of good plays otherwise. And so we can always kind of bait out the hard answers to Golurk. Here, by the way, we would have knocked out the Mandibuzz already before with a Charm, so it would have been not close if the opponent gets to move at all. Yeah, generally there, but of course, yeah, the game didn't really work there, but it's fine. Here, as you're gonna see as well, we climb even further, and we can move on to the final set that I want to showcase here today. This team was epic. Like, this team is so amazing. Like, again, we have a little bit of a longer video here as well. We have 15 games, I think, total in here, because we have 3 full sets with this team. You see basically everything there for my last 3 sets, I think, that I played with this team. And you see on how strong it is. It is ridiculous. So you see everything basically as well, like all of the battles that I already did here in the last 3 sets. And as you can see, we have the Diggers be against us. We're going to be able to... let the move go through. That's going to be fine. It is going to be Fire Punch, and we have now our Wigglytuff. We have to kind of rely here on the Golurk in this battle, because we have the Ariados against us, which is quite awkward, and we just have to hope that somehow I'm going to be able to win with the Golurk. I have actually some energy here, which is kind of cool. We can swap out straight away, and they swap out into the Feraligatr. And I was thinking here right now, if they use a shield, which they should do, I think I'm just gonna let the move go through. And I think I'm gonna try to win with my Wiggle. My Wiggle is my way, and my Wiggle is gonna go for the full farm down. I need the energy, and I make a big mistake here. I decided to use a shield, that's fine, that's of course not a mistake, otherwise he would be dead. They go for Crunch, great play, we're gonna get the defense drop, and with the defense drop I was like, I'd rather go for the debuffing move, otherwise they can Poison Sting me down, right? Mistake. Because of course they're gonna go for the Lunge now, which is going to allow them to get more bulk. I should have just went for the Swift. I would have had another Swift here already. Swift does a little bit more damage, I think, as well. Actually, it doesn't. I don't think it does. No, I don't think it does. I think it's just a tiny bit less. But as you're gonna see here, we're still gonna be able to win the battle, and we can move on to the next opponent. And again, we see here the team that I mentioned before. Like, maybe it's the same player, actually. I battle a lot of times the same players recently, because I'm kind of in a decent elo range right now, even though it's end of the 2nd month already, and I'm not legend yet, and a lot of times I'm legend already way earlier, but I didn't really like the cups this season so far. The rest of the season looks actually really good. We have next week again Great League, then we're going to in the Jungle Cup Little Edition, which nobody's going to play, and then we're going to have afterwards, I think, the Love Cup, which is going to be very interesting, because usually Love Cup is a fun meta to run. I don't know if there is a new Pokemon that kind of ruined this for us, but it's usually a fun one. And so afterwards, then the last 2 weeks is going to be Great League again. So we have a lot of good metas coming up. And as you can see here, the opponent's going to have a Drapion in the back, and I think they don't really like to see our Golurk there in the back. Amazing lead for us in this battle. We're gonna swap out here directly into our Marowak against the Drapion. The benefit of Marowak is you just have more bulk. So like he can not risk anything here, just go for the no shield, and it's gonna be fine because like with the Golurk is going to be squishier. Golurk is gonna get one shot by a crunch. Here we're just gonna be able to take at least a hit. I could have went for a charge move here. I should have most likely went for a charge move with the Marowak in order to get the knockout against the Drapion. I usually just farm down to maybe pressure the next Pokemon coming in. In this case it's the Annihilate. And we can go for 2 Bone Clubs, and basically we're gonna be able to do basically the same that we should have done otherwise as well. Like we're just going to have now the knockout here actually. That's gonna be great. But they have the Dugong in the back, and yeah, guess what? I go into my ground type Pokemon. That's kind of be a bit tricky, but I'm not actually too worried because I get the shield here. I know that they're going to try to go for the full farm down, but I get another shield. And this means, at this point, a Swift is going to connect next time. And I still have my other Mon to try to clear the debuff. I'm fairly certain that Wigglytuff has a higher attack stat than the opponent's Dugong, so we should be fine no matter what. And so I'm gonna let the move go through. I know that I can still survive even a Drill Run. It's going to be another Icy Wind, so we're at -2. But I can just swap out now, clear my debuff, go for the Swift, and this should be it for the opponent. This should knock them out easily. And as you're gonna see here, this is going to be fine. It's going to get the KO. And we can move on to the next opponent. We're going to have Feraligatr in the lead. That's usually a very solid lead for the Wigglytuff because you should be able to always win this matchup. Definitely in the 2-shield scenario, but I think you don't even need 2 shields. What we can do here and what we are going to do is we're going to go for 1 Swift, we're going to go for a shield, and afterwards we're going to decide to go for the no shield and just farm them down. Get out of the situation with both switch advantage as well as energy advantage. But we don't want switch advantage actually with the team that we are playing. What we want to do is we want to swap out straight away because we need to have basically the Mandibuzz out, for example, here, which is really important. This is, you see literally on how amazing the team works together. We have the bait here with the Marowak, which gets out basically everything that the Golurk doesn't want to face, while still having decent coverage against most of the Pokemon that Golurk doesn't want to face with a Rock Slide. Golurk is usually the one that cleans up at the end, and Wigglytuff is like the glue that kind of completely destroys the hardest answers to Golurk, which are usually Dark-type Pokemon. And so it's just such a good team. Like, it's honestly like such a strong team to run. I would really recommend you to give it a try. Here is the Aerial Ace. They're gonna swap out into the Clodsire that can fully farm me down, which makes it a bit awkward. But I rely on my Golurk now, and my Golurk never lets me down. That's definitely something that I learned. Golurk is going to be able to survive something like an Earthquake here as well. We have a shield anyway. Could have went for the Shadow Punch here already. Should have went already for the Shadow Punch. But at this point, hopefully you can still survive. We can with the 1 HP, and Golurk never lets you down. That's something you have to remember, because as you're gonna see here, Shadow Punch is gonna knock them out, Dynamic Punch is coming in next, and show me a Gastrodon that can do this stuff. They cannot go for Dynamic Punch, and we can move on to the final battle of today. Horrible lead. Literally, worst possible lead that you can imagine. But I was hoping that they don't have Flash Cannon, because then I can still go for an Icy Wind first, and like they're not gonna be really worrying me at all, because the Thunder doesn't really do that much. But Whip would have not knocked us out as well. They have Flash Cannon, that's going to be horrible for us. But we can go for a Shadow Punch here on the CMP type. That's going to be fine, because we got either Knockout here or the opponent's shield. We get the shield. We have to use a shield now as well. And I should be able to fully farm them down, right? Like, come on. It should be fine here. It's not. And it is weird. Like, what the hell is this Ferrothorn doing? But at least we got rid of them. And they go to the Clodsire. I can go for a Shadow Punch. What do they have in the back with a Ferrothorn? And why do they swap out into the Clodsire? I swap out into my Marowak, I can take a hit, I can fully farm them down, I get a ton of energy here. What do they have? It is Nidoqueen. Yeah, like what is going on here? Like why would you run Nidoqueen like this especially? Anyway, they don't know, I don't know. As you can see here, this is the final set that I did with this team so far. It was an amazing team. I would really recommend you to give it a try. As you see here, I go up to 2,910 with this team. It was epic, it was fast, it was toxic, it was super strong. And I will see you then. Leave a like and I'll see you then. Bye bye.